Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 74 of my 100-day project. I am working in gouache and feeling much better today. Yesterday, I had a terrible migraine and ended up painting anyway. And today I felt much better. So this one went a lot smoother, a lot quicker. And I just wanted to do something bright and colorful. And it occurred to me after I painted this, I think I have another painting that I may have done in oil that's a little bit similar. I'm sort of seeing some recurring themes show up. You know, doing this for 74 days, I've got some recurring themes. So I wanted to just kind of do something bright and floral. My gouache is very thin in this whole painting, so it's very much like watercolor. And I'm layering things, waiting for things to dry a little bit, but using it very, very wet like I would watercolor. And I'm using my round brush here. This I want to say is an 8 or a 10 in the Mimic line. And I think this is a line that Jerry's Artarama makes that's one of their in-house brands. I really like these brushes. I use them for watercolor and I use them for gouache, obviously. They hold a lot of water and they work really, really nicely. So I've been enjoying these. And I like using the bigger brushes for the most part. I do have a smaller one that you can see there in my little stack of brushes that I bring out for some detail later. But for the most part, this is done with this larger brush. And I'm just sort of imagining this. Maybe this is a close-up of one of my garden tenders who's out in the garden, and we're just seeing their eyes right now, surrounded by all this luscious color. And that was really what I was going for, was this luscious richness. And that shadow in their nose is that opera color, which is super, super bright and vibrant, and I love that color. I do not believe it is light fast, so that is one of the things to consider, but it's beautiful. And if you're making prints or if you do a really good job varnishing with a UV protectant varnish, that can really help. And obviously with a print, it's going to be fine, but I do really enjoy that color. And this just reminded me of like lush tropical. I think it's raining today, and so I was really craving some color. And I think just feeling so much better than I did yesterday. I just had all this energy and wanted to have something lush and vibrant. These colors are so juicy, and I just love it. So basically everything is in, and I'm just adding some additional color. So I've let the first layer dry, and I always like to add a little bit of the background color in the foreground. So these leaves are really more of the background. So I brought in some of that cobalt teal into that big red flower and the orangey flower on the right. I brought in some of that permanent green light into the yellow part of the orange flower on the left. So I'm bringing in the warmer colors into the side of the face where there would be more light and the color might be warmer, and the cooler colors more on the other side of the face where it might be more into shadow. And once again, I was really struggling getting a good dark color. I did bring out some burnt umber, thinking that, okay, I didn't really feel like trying to make a really dark. So I brought out the burnt umber and used that, and I mixed it with a little bit of turquoise blue. And that helped cool it down a little bit. This burnt umber, and this is Holbein Artist Gouache, is very warm. It's a beautiful, rich color, but I wanted it to be a little bit cooler, so I added some of that turquoise blue to cool it down a bit. And now I'm just going in and adding shadows. I build up the shadows quite a bit because I'm using these thinner washes. I'm letting them dry, then I'm building them up and building them up, kind of like I would with watercolor. So getting some of that opera pink in there. I kind of used every color on my palette. So I'm still using the same palette that I've had, which is the permanent white, the permanent yellow deep, the brilliant orange that I added yesterday, carmine, the opera that I added yesterday. I've got magenta, I've got turquoise blue, and cobalt turquoise, which is that tealy color. And then I added the burnt umber today. So I'm sort of just using what's on my palette. And I don't tend to clean my palette off when I'm doing a series like this, when it's something that can be reactivated like watercolor or gouache or even oil. I like to dip into the mixes that are already there, and I feel like I get more interesting colors that way than cleaning it off and adding new paint or just starting fresh each time. I like my colors to be a little bit dirty. So at this point, I'm just sort of adding in a little bit more texture. I do work on building up that shadow on the right side of her face and the left side, but I'm working in different parts of the painting to let these different areas dry. It's kind of challenging on a painting this size, this 5x7. I'm working on this whole series in gouache. I've been working on a 140-pound hot press, 100% cotton watercolor block by New York Central. And I really like using the blocks because I don't have to stretch the paper, I don't have to tape it down, and it dries super nice and flat. And the hot press is a gorgeous texture for the gouache. It's not like perfectly smooth, but it's very smooth, a lot smoother than the cold press. And the gouache just slides across it beautifully. It's a really, really nice surface. I like this paper a lot. I've got it in several different sizes and weights. So here I'm just punching up the shadows a little bit, making my darks darker, my lights lighter. My eyes still don't match 100%. It's so funny. I'm just adding a little bit of highlight to bring that eyelid forward a little bit. And then once you use a color in one place, it's a good idea to use it somewhere else. So I brought that into the cheek a little bit there. So same thing there, punching up the light and the highlight. And I got a little bit of that color onto the eye line, and that I end up having to go back and fix. So a little bit of light there in the eyes to bring her to life a little bit. And just adding some little touches here and there. The colors in this are so juicy. It just reminds me of fruit, like a big ripe strawberry or a peach or a lemon or a lime. There's just something about it. And that's one of the beautiful aspects of gouache. It's so pigmented and the colors are so rich and vibrant. It really lends itself to this sort of illustrative approach. It's just wonderful. That's one of my big takeaways from the series is how much I really do appreciate each of these different mediums and what they're great at. And it's been a wonderful reminder for me to get reacquainted with them in their own way and remember what I appreciate about them. Because they all have something different to bring to the table. And often I'll use them in mixed media in a very specific way, but it's been great to give them their own chance to shine. So I just bumped up that shadow with a little bit of that teal color on the right-hand side of her face. I'm just darkening up some things. Doing my best to let things dry. I tend to be very impatient. I don't have a blow dryer going, so I'm letting things air dry. And every once in a while, I'll pause the video and give it a fan with that little card that's sitting there. But there we go. Day 74, just a fun, bright, vibrant face in gouache, a close-up A garden tender in the garden. That opera color is so fabulous. Gotta love it. So we're halfway through the gouache set. It goes by so quickly. After this, I'm going to be transitioning over to wax pastel. So this is a very specific product by Karen Dash, and I have not played with them. So I'm excited to spend 10 days exploring them. They are essentially a wax pastel, and they're much harder than an oil pastel, but very similar to the Neocolor ones. So I'm looking forward to exploring that. I hope you are doing well. Take care of you. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.